Welcome to our video. This video is on organizational checklist, but a quick start guide. If you were to invite me to breakfast or lunch, and we sit down across the table from each other, and you said, Marshall, how do I get my different programs and projects and events and activities, how do I get them organized? Well, this is meant to be a laser lesson. We're going to look at this one problem, and I'm going to tell you what I've told guys across the lunch counter as we've sat and talked, or across the lunch table or breakfast table, and I'm going to go through the key things that you need to pull in and let it serve as a quick start guide to help you get all of your programming organized. The first thing that I want to go over is to make certain that you understand how important proper preparation and planning is. And so I put together a little pithy saying: proper preparation, planning, and processes prevent poor performance. So during your ministry design, as you look at how you do ministry, there are 4 phases that we have broke it down into, and we're talking about the design stage. So as we go through these, I want to first look at ministry congruence. And I mean by that, how everything agrees and aligns and works together. So alignment I think of as a mental harmony, where the people that are working with you in the individual ministries and projects that you have in your church, and there may be 5 and there might be 50 that you've got going on, depending upon the size of your church and how long you've been in existence. But alignment is where everything is working together in the hearts and minds of those that are carrying out your ministry, that they are mentally aligned with your church ministry, with you, with what you're trying to accomplish. Secondly, your ministries not only need to be in alignment, but in attunement. And attunement deals with their heart and passion, that everybody has a heart for it. The reason why I say these things is that churches end up with their ministries being individual silos. All the people who are working in the children's ministry are isolated and insulated in their own silo, where the only way that they're talking to anyone else is up, and it's talking to you or to the minister who is over that particular program or project. And the hearts are not blended together, program to program with the personnel, nor are the programs in alignment, in agreement mentally. And the third area is agreement. Now, you take your head with the alignment, your heart with the attunement, and their hands with the agreement, and you judge whether or not the programs and the personnel and the people involved in this are in alignment mentally, that they're intellectually in agreement with you, and that their hearts are in tune together by how they use their hands, because action speaks louder than words. And so as you go to this, you need to do some evaluation, some measuring, but evaluation of your different ministries in your church to make certain that the people and the programs are overall in alignment, in attunement, and in agreement. Then I move from that to the ministry design agreement. This is where you're going to look at the key things that make up every program, project, event, and activity in your church. And you need to understand the congregational code. If you end up in a situation where you've got a lot of people involved in one particular ministry, let's say your children's ministry, and it may be the largest ministry that you have in your church outside of your worship services, more workers and more children are involved in that. And if you don't understand the congregational code of your congregation, but also that particular children's ministry with all of those workers that are involved in it and all the parents that are coming, you can end up making decisions in leading that program that works against who they are as a congregation, violate it, and you've got a revolt on your hands. And so it is important that you understand how your congregation is in agreement, attunement, and how they are put together in their alignment. But you need to know that the soil of your congregation and the essence of their soul and who they are in their DNA You need to understand that. You end up with factions in your church where you've got a lot of different DNA, and they're all in silos to themselves. Both your programs and your people in your church are going to end up in trouble. Then core values. You need to have the same set of core values that's driving every program in your ministry. And then a defined mission so that everybody knows what they're doing and why. And then you need to have vision clarity so that everyone understands where you're going, what the destination is, what the stopping points are along the way, and you have vision clarity in your ministry. And then you need to have ministry design congruence with your strategic planning. When it's implemented, and you need to implement the plan, and you need to monitor it so you can modify it. Failure to do that means that some churches have been going for some years with the same strategic plan, and they've implemented it in part or in whole, but never have managed it so that they monitor its success, look for areas where it needs to be modified, and continue to improve and perfect it. A quick start guide to your programming for your ministry, to organize it, means that you need to look at the people and the programs to make certain that everything is in harmony. If you take two cats, tie them by the tail, throw them over a clothesline and wrap a burlap sack up around them, you're going to have unity, okay, but you're not going to have any harmony. And a lot of our congregations, the pastors have just not brought the team together to honestly look at if everyone understands what their mission is, what the vision of the church is, and there is congruence with your program to program, project to project, activity to activity, and event to event, so that you don't have people going off in their own direction with their own self-declared mission and vision, with their own personal set of core values, because it affects everything I'm about to show you. I'm going to show you now 10 key areas to focus your attention on. Remember, this is a laser lesson, a quick start guide to how you do ministry when it comes to organizing your church. So the first thing you've got to nail down is your philosophy of ministry. There needs to be congruence with the philosophy of ministry. Philosophy of ministry is the why you do what you're doing. It is the undergirding or the underpinning of your ministry that is based in Scripture, and it's your theology fleshed out in your philosophy of why do you do what you do. So it's the set of beliefs and values that guide your actions. You have a philosophy of ministry. Whether you have identified it or pieced it together or put it in writing or not. And the first key area that you need to have congruence, where everybody is in agreement, where everyone is in attunement, their heart's in it, and everyone is in alignment in their thinking with your philosophy of ministry as a church body and program to program, so you don't end up with silos. The second area is that there needs to be clarity of purpose. This is what you're striving to accomplish. It's where you state your goals and your objectives, your intents and aims. It is your mission stated in clear terms that serves as a guardrails to keep you out of the ditches. So when I look at this, I distinguish between my mission and my purpose. My purpose as a believer and as a member of our church and as a church leader is to understand that whatsoever I eat or drink or whatever I do is to glorify God. Your mission is the way that God wants your ministry, your congregation to carry out the Great Commission. And of course, he wants us to do what I believe in the posture of the Great Commandment, to love God and to love our neighbor as ourselves. But you better have clarity of purpose so everybody knows what that individual program, how does it fit into the whole? How is it trying to fulfill the Great Commission? The third area is your target groups, the people that you're wanting to reach or keep or edify and build up and educate, or that you're releasing into ministry. I just kind of put ministry church into 4 areas. You have to reach people with the gospel. You have to keep those that you reach. You have to equip and edify them and educate them and build them up for ministry. Then you have to release them into ministry. And so when you look at the people that the individual programs, projects, events, or activities are targeted to minister to in one way or another, you're reaching them, evangelizing them, equipping them, encouraging them, edifying them, whatever your area is, that you know who the program is targeted for. So with the children's ministry, you think of the children, but also their parents. Or you may think of a ministry to unwed mothers in your area where you've got a lot of single parenting going on, and they're single for one reason or another, that you know exactly which group of singles your parents you're targeting and move ahead with that effort. You need to know the people that you're trying to reach out to. So who are the individuals you are attempting to evangelize and edify? How would you evaluate the outreach of your individual ministries, and what plan are you working on in order to reach out to them and then to keep them so that you can make disciples of them? So as you look at this, the third key area, and I've kind of done this in priority, is that you've got to know who the ministry is for. I have pastors who through the years have said to me, well, our church is for everybody. We want everyone to come. But in reality, God has gifted you and nurtured you, prepared you as a congregation or individuals within your congregation to best connect and minister and reach and keep and equip and release certain people groups. He's prepared you for them. And so as you go into this, understand that you need to identify, and everybody needs to know in your ministries and your programs in your church, whether it's a 1-day or 1-hour activity or an event that's going over several days or a project that you're working on for a period of time or a program that goes year in and year out, that you know who is it designed for? Who are the people groups that you've designed your programs, your projects, your events and activities to reach? Then the next area that I would tell you to focus on would be your personnel. Your personnel are the people in your church who are to serve in your ministries, and they feel equipped and called to carry out that program or that project or that event or activity that you're doing. These are the ones who are there from top to bottom. They are the ones who are serving, paid or volunteer, part-time or full-time, week in and week out, or just for the event or activity that you're doing. These are the people that you're recruiting and enlisting, and you are teaching and training and equipping them to carry out your game plan. And so as we talk about this, you've got to know how to pick the right people to connect with the people group that you're trying to reach. Then the next area that you'd better have put together is your game plan. Your game plan takes everything you're doing and puts it together in a way that all the pieces of the puzzle come together, and you have designed and developed your philosophy of ministry, the purposes that you're doing the ministries for, the programming that you put together, your policies and procedures. Everything is a part of your game plan. Here's what we're going to do. I enjoy football, both college and pro, but particular college. And the coaches go in with a game plan. And in that, they have to pull everything that we're talking about together and orchestrate and coordinate it together and collaborate the coaching and the trainers and the players and all the support personnel and the equipment managers, everything. All the planning has to bring it together to make it cohesive. So one of the top 10 areas to focus on when you are looking at your programs, projects, events, and activities is to have an overall game plan. Then you certainly better have, as a part of this, the priorities. This is what keeps your ministry on track and in line together with Scripture, with God's leading, with how you put your ministry together, that your priorities of what's first, second, third, and fourth. And I would tell you that your priorities that you deal with, your major priorities, need to be limited between 3 and 5 so that you prioritize where you're going to put your resources of people, personnel, money, everything together. It's a part of your plan. It all folds in together. The next area, key area to focus on, are your policies. This is what gives structure to your programming. These are the guidelines for carrying out your programs, your projects, your events, and activities. They set up what you will and will not do, what you will and will not allow, your negotiable and non-negotiable. The things that you have to have that are essential and the non-essentials. They set up who will work in your children's ministry. Let's just pick that one ministry. What age groups will be put where? It sets up what your teaching and discipline and relation with your parenting and your parents. It is the guidelines that you have put together that is setting up the guardrails along with the other aspects of your ministry so that you know what you're allowed to do and not allowed to do. And then you're going to have procedures. These describe the what and how you do your programs, projects, events, and activities. It is how you're going to do things. For instance, if you're having a children's ministry, let's just park there again for a moment, and you've set up a classroom for the 3 and 4-year-olds, and you're going to have a time of instruction. What are the procedures that teacher and his workers who are supporting him are to have and do? What are they to do and how are they to do it in that classroom for that 15-minute period with those 3 and 4-year-olds? You've set up policies about the do's and don'ts, and you set up procedures about the what and the how. So are you going to set them on a piece of carpet on the floor and have them cross their legs Indian style, and you're going to sit and teach them while you're sitting in a chair, and there has to be three workers for every 10 children or whatever you've set up in your policies? And this is how you're going to do it. Are you going to set them at round tables, rectangle tables? You're going to set them in just chairs in a circle, or the whole room is a circle? You're going to use a marker board, an overhead, a PowerPoint? Are you going to use puppets? Are you going to do the puppets first, and then a Bible story, and then and you just go through the procedures so that they know what they are to do and how they are to do it, and what are the do's and don'ts of your policies. These are key things. Your workers are not going to know what to do, or every man just does that which is right in their own sight. Then we talk about some more key areas to focus your attention on. You've got to have a place for every ministry that you do it, whether it's outside or inside or both. And that's kind of common sense. But what if your ministry, let's take your children's ministry, where you've got activities outside in a playground area that is fenced off, and you've got an area inside where you've got individual classrooms going on, or an assembly room that is going on? Are you moving them through to a craft room? Whatever your program, project, event, or activity is with your children's ministry, you've got to have a set place. As your church grows, you may find that, well, wait a minute, this other ministry was planning on using this space, and you had both of them assigned to the same place because you hadn't thought through your ministry space. And so you have to have a place for them to do ministry. Then you've got to know what it's going to cost you. Every ministry really is going to cost you some resources, money, manpower. It's going to cost you ministry items. It's going to take a drain on something, whether it's your manpower or your money or your ministry space. that you start looking at that, and what do we need to have week to week or month to month, and who's going to go get them. And I mean, it's just a whole group of things, but you've got to know how to budget that in instead of just saying, well, we're going to have a children's ministry and we're going to do this and this, but you haven't allotted any money to it and been able to raise the money to carry out that ministry. This has been just a quick start guide to give you 10 areas and some key thoughts about your ministry design and how everything should collaborate, be coordinated and orchestrated together. But your people, the personnel, your ministry needs to be in congruence. And you need to have all this written down. And I would put it into an operational manual so that when you train people for a particular ministry, they know how it's working together. And the do's and don'ts and the whats and the hows and the who and the whom's are all written out, well planned and designed so that everyone knows what's expected of them. Well, I'm Marshall Shannon, your ministry design coach at Ministry Design Training and Concepts. You can reach me at this email address or either one of these two phone numbers to help you with this quick start guide of where do you need to focus first, second, third, fourth, all the way through the 10 areas, and how do you evaluate your ministry to make certain that the people and the programming is congruent together so that you have harmony and not just unity. Thank you so much for listening. Don't hesitate to scroll down and ask a question or make a comment before you click out of this particular video.